Hello, second grade. Today I am going to read a story to you guys about friendship, about a president that we had in the past, and about a very important person in African American history, Mr. Frederick Douglass. So before we begin, I want to tell you that when it was Friday, February 12th, it was our President Lincoln's birthday. And then on February 14th, it was Valentine's Day, where we celebrate friendship, which is what these two people had. And on February 15th, it's President's Day. So we celebrate President's Day, and there was no school that day. But now we are here to learn and listen to this story, okay? So the title of our story is called Lincoln and Douglas, an American Friendship. The story is written by Nikki Giovanni and it is illustrated by Brian Collier. The evening sky was midnight blue. Stars sparkled as brightly as the jewels. The hall echoed with the rustle of their dresses, set against the nice gentleman boots. The reception for the newly re-elected President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, was in full swing. So we're having a celebration, right? Because President Lincoln got re-elected to be our United States President again. Here's him, and this is his wife. President and Mrs. Lincoln were strolling around the hall arm in arm. They were greeting their friends and supporters. Mrs. Lincoln noticed the president occasionally peeking towards the door. Is something wrong? She asked. I am looking for my friend, Frederick Douglass. I asked him to come and bring his wife. Oh, Abraham, not here. Surely you know no Negro should be at the White House. The president looked at her more with sadness than disappointment. Mrs. Lincoln's sympathies did not lie with the men and women of color seeking to be free. Just then, Abraham Lincoln broke into a big smile. Here comes my friend Douglas, he said, and he hurried over to him to shake his hand. For both men, the journey across the ballroom felt a journey across time. So way back then in the 1800s, right, we have African American slaves. And that's not nice to have slaves. So now the story is going to take us to their beginning, before they were friends, how they grew up. Listen carefully. Young Frederick Douglass, when he was young, he was refusing to be whipped again, to be hit by his master. So he decided to run away from his owner. He he went through streams and fields until he came to a house where a nice gentleman who was white offered him help. Now, looking at young Abraham Lincoln, he had to walk 5 miles back and forth to his country store just because he wanted to make sure everyone got equal opportunities. Both young men studied. They were under the candlelight and they were reading the Bible and reading books and writing letters to become better people. So just like you studying, they were studying too. Douglas worked at the ship in the Baltimore shore. He waited to be free so he could go and be on those ships. And the first time Lincoln had to work on the farm, he went down the Mississippi River to New Orleans, and that journey opened his eyes to the world around him. Now, growing up, when they became friends, when Lincoln was elected to the White House, Douglas called upon him as he called upon all the newly elected congressmen. Douglas wanted to teach Lincoln, and Lincoln wanted to learn. A friendship flowered based on mutual values, a love of good food, and the ability to laugh together even at the worst times. Both men hated the slavery. Douglas because he had been a slave himself, and Lincoln because he had seen how evil it was in New Orleans. Both men knew from their religion and the United States Constitution that human beings should not be owned by other human beings. It hurts the goodness and hearts of all. A nation could not exist half enslaved and half free. So what's going to happen? Lincoln and Douglas were not the only ones who hated slavery, right? In this story, this is Mr. John Brown, and we're going to hear how he helped save some of the slaves. On October 16, 1859, John Brown led several men in an attack on a Harper's Ferry, and this happened in Virginia. During the raid, he seized the Federal and he was saving all the slaves. He intended to arm slaves with weapons so they can defend themselves. Abraham Lincoln never met John Brown, but Brown and Frederick Douglass had been old friends too. They had helped Brown raise funds, though as did many others, including their good friend Mary Ellen Pleasant. Miss Pleasant was also a runaway from the Maryland plantation, so she was no longer a slave. The attack on Harper's Ferry failed. Luckily, news of this failure reached Miss Pleasant before it was too late, so she didn't go back. She was free. Now they're all grown up. After the incident at Harper's Ferry, both North and South recognized that the war was inevitable. Abraham Lincoln was the president, and he knew that the South had to stop slavery. And in fact, in Lincoln's first 4 years as president, they were fighting for that Civil War to free the slaves. Even on such a grand occasion as the inaugural reception at the White House, the glimpses of war hang over their festivities. So now they're all grown up. They're back at the celebration in the future when he got reelected, but you can see people's faces were still sad. "Here you are, Fred," said Mr. President. "I thought I saw you a while ago." "Yes, sir, you did. But there was a misunderstanding about the door. Through the door which I had entered, the gentleman invited my wife and me to go around to the back door, and we said no. No matter, it had been cleared up." "I'm sorry," said the president. "I had told my secretary to keep an eye out for you, to let you in through the front door." Douglas smiled at Lincoln, and he said, "I think you forgot to mention that we were colored." What a long journey, Fred, from the front door to this banister, up where they were looking at the party. "Yes, sir, but not as long as from the plantation to Maryland, to freedom. All journeys are long." "Yes, they are, Fred," said the president. "Yet here we are. We made it, and tonight is a happy night. We must enjoy it. There will be difficult days ahead." "Yes, sir," agreed Douglas. "But we have the right captain to steer the good ship America. It may not be smooth sailing, but I've got no doubt we will make it through." With good friends offering wise counsel, the president smiled. "I don't worry either." That is the end of our story about friendship of Lincoln and Douglas. Bye, second grade.